Questions will be really good if you chat them in, or text chat them in, and I'll answer them later on. My talk is really going to last about 20 to 30 minutes. So if you know all this stuff already, go get yourself a snack or a beverage or watch television or work on something. But if you are new to WordPress, or you're sort of new to WordPress, or you just need some more, maybe you've been using WordPress for a while and you just need additional information about web hosts, this would be a good thing to watch. I always tell people I'm visually impaired, so if I do something like really silly, or I can't see something, or I look really close at the screen, well, you don't know why. And this is really going to be 4 things to look for in a web host, not a million things. So, and these are sort of the more familiar web hosting companies that are out there. No doubt some of you are familiar with these. Okay, so that's me. No, that's not me. I have a grandson, so I'm officially old now. And people say that he looks a lot like me, and then a good friend of mine said, hopefully he'll grow out of it. And so anyway, that's Bud Kraus. Take a picture of this, Joy of WP, and my website and stuff like that. Okay, so here's the first one that I look for in a web host, and that is superior tech support. And of course, everybody offers tech support, but I've noticed that it's very uneven from one host to another. I like really solid tech support. And I will probably be talking a lot about WPEngine because it's just my favorite. And I love WPEngine because they do everything great, including tech support. And it's not a matter of whether they have tech support, it's the quality of the support that they have and your ability to access it. Some of them make it kind of hard to access. Like, I like SiteGround too, sort of, but it's really hard to get their tech support. You've got to know like where to look in their interface, and it's not that simple. Whereas a good host, they'll give you phone number, text chat, email, whatever you want, 24/7, and just solid support. And support that's sort of, if you can get it, like to maybe go beyond the call of duty. Now, don't expect tech support to, develop your website, develop a plugin for you, make a theme. That's not what they're here for. Okay, they don't, custom WordPress development is not what tech support should be about. It really is more about what's going on with their servers, their system, their platform, and not so much what's going on with your website. You have a problem with CSS or JavaScript or something. Don't expect anybody to be doing that kind of tech support. So be careful about, just your expectations. Just hold them in check. Another thing I look for is an easy way to set up and use a staging environment. So if you don't know what a staging environment is, good hosting companies have a production environment, which is your live site, and then a staging environment, which is in essence a copy of the live site, where you're going to test plugins, you're going to check things out, you're going to maybe do some development work. Here's the bottom line, you don't work on your live site. I never work on live sites until and unless I have to. So if a client says, well, why don't you just log in? And I said, no, stop right there. Bad idea. So I'm always looking to see if they have a staging environment. Short of that, maybe an easy way to copy the site. A staging environment is very similar to a live production environment, but for our purposes, it's not so much the technical differences, it's the fact that there's a copy of our site where we're going to do all our work in terms of testing plugins. If you want to test the latest version of WordPress, I don't like to, I get involved with upgrading and updating plugins for clients, and I don't like to do it on their live sites. In fact, I don't. I want to do it on their staging environment first to see if there's any conflicts that I could easily detect before trying it out on their live site. And the other thing too, and hopefully I'll have a minute or two to show you, an easy way to, if you're working on the live site, you want to push it to your staging site, that is to make a transfer to your, if you're working on your live site, you want to push it to the staging environment, in other words, just to move it over to the staging, that it's really easy to do, and the other way around, in other words, from staging to production. So most web hosts today include SSL as their standard package, but that's not what I'm getting at here. Okay, we know that. I want to see you use a web host that has automatic SSL certificate renewal. I know too many hosts that if you don't say, hey, how come my SSL is broken? Like you go to your website, it's not HTTPS anymore. It's just old HTTP with a broken padlock. You got to call up your host. They have to reinstall the certificate or they have to renew the certificate. That's no good. You should never see an HTTP in your URLs anywhere in your site. So you want SSL, period. And if you don't know what SSL does, it adds a layer of protection for your site, an encrypting layer, so that when information is transmitted or moved between a user and the server, it's encrypted. And here we are, we're almost done. No, we're not. We have a little bit more. But it's not just having backups. Most web hosts, even the bad ones, will back up your site sort of on an irregular or maybe regular basis. Maybe it'll be hard to find in their interface, but that there's an easy mechanism to restore the site in the event the worst should happen, okay? And, this can get a little bit tricky about site, if you run into an issue, which copy you want to restore. For most websites, okay, I'm not talking about an e-commerce site that's got a lot of traffic, but just the average kind of website, they need to be backed up once a day, and there has to be an easy, like one-click solution to restore the site. But as I said, there's more. Okay, and I have a couple more because the reason why I have 4 is because I'm doing this talk next week for Central New Jersey, so now you don't have to go to that. No, you don't. I just, anyway. But there are obviously more than 4. And one that I look for, I think is kind of, it's nice to have, certainly, is instead of using FTP, file transfer protocol, when you move files from your computer to the server, you don't really want to move it via FTP. You want to move it in a secure environment. So it's like SSL for FTP, okay? So that's what SFTP is all about. Now, as far as I know, maybe somebody will know something different. I'd like to hear. I've only seen WPEngine do this, but I could be wrong. So I'll wait to hear. Another is access to a CDN, a content delivery network. Now, there's all kinds of ways of setting up a CDN. I understand that, and I don't really want to get into all the technical, how you do all this stuff, but it's just nice to be able to have your site running on a CDN. What is a CDN? Without getting into all the, a lot of details, because probably either some of you know about it or don't. It's all about performance and the proximity a user has to a server. So if you're in Japan, you want somebody to access your site from Japan, if you follow what I'm saying. So in other words, a server in Japan. And that server will be holding or storing your static assets, like stuff that doesn't change. And it speeds up the whole performance of your website. So, I look to see what kind of CDN services are available through the web hosting company that I'm using. Another one here is an easy way to enable password protection. Now, I find this to be sort of useful, especially in 2 instances. One, when you're building a site, you don't want people to see what's going on. You don't want Google search bot to index your site. You want to password protect it so that nobody, not even Google, can see it, all right? And sometimes some of these companies make it really hard to set up password protection. And some of them, like WPEngine, make it really easy to do. You also, I think, want to, in most cases, you'll want to have your staging environment also password protected. And how easy or how difficult that is to do depends on the hosting company that you're with. Another one here is an easy way to clear cache. So I drive myself nuts a lot of times with clearing cache, depending on the hosting company. I won't name one that's really bad, GoDaddy. Every time I use anything with GoDaddy, clearing cache gets to be an issue. You know, you want a company that when they say clear cache, they're serious about clearing cache. That is a really complicated subject, but you know, why doesn't it not clear sometimes? Anyway, and then two other things I'll talk about real briefly, which isn't really web hosting, obviously, is email service. Now, if you don't need email service, then this doesn't apply, but most people want to have an easy way to set up domain name email. So like budkraus.com. Let's say I want to use, you know, info@budkraus.com. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, domain name email service. Most web hosts automatically include this in their service. Not all, okay, but most of them do. And then it gets a matter of, well, how easy is it to set up and to maintain? And how easy is it to configure email clients? Okay, so, you know, it's a whole other subject, but I just sometimes, depending on the need, do we need to have email service run through a web host? And then the last of these beautiful things are domain name registration. Again, this is not something that I consider WordPress at all. It isn't. It's whether or not a host offers the ability. I don't know why my screen is moving around, but it is jiggling. Anyway, so domain name registration, meaning just what you would think it would be. So you register a domain and you manage it, and of course you pay the license fee every year. And Steve will share this link a little bit later on, but if you want additional information, now I'm not done with you yet, but if you want additional information about web hosts that I put together in furtherance of tonight, you can go to my site and you can go to wp.com/webhost-rex, and you'll see. And like I say, he'll share this in a bit. I mentioned WPEngine, so let me see if I can do, I don't know why my screen is just jumping all over the place. Steve, is that a problem?
No, it's not jumping for us. It looks fine for us.
Well, it's not fine for me, but this is really wacky. Let me just, all right, I'm going to do a little bit of, you know, I mentioned WPEngine, and oh, by the way, if anybody here has any problems with their current host, or they want to make a change, or they're, you know, interested in learning anything more about what I'm talking about, obviously you can get in touch with me, bud@joyofwp.com, and I'll, you know, steer you hopefully in the right direction, because everybody's needs are different. I just can't say, oh, you know, you should definitely use, you know, you must only use this company. No, I can't. I don't do that. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And now I'm going to start sharing again. And this time, I can't find what I'm supposed to be looking for. Hold on a second here. Just give me 1 second, and let's see if I can find what I need. Just give me another second, and I will try this right now. Yeah. Okay, great. So this is what WPEngine looks like. All right. So right away, no logo, none of those stupid little you know, icons that you see with all those cPanel hosting companies, like a Bluehost or a whole bunch of others. Okay, they're all going. You know, they don't have any of that stuff. This is a system that WPEngine built from scratch. They didn't just say, okay, let's use all this open source software. It doesn't work that way. And the nice thing about WPEngine is that all they do is WordPress hosting. They don't do any domain. That's not their business. They don't do domain name registration. They don't do email handling. None of that. Their sole focus is on managed WordPress hosting. They have different plans for different, you know, I'm not going to get into all that stuff. This is really a very basic, I'm going to just give you some of the real basics here, okay? And if it sounds like I'm pushing WPEngine, maybe I am, you know, because it's so damn good. And I think most people would testify. One of the things also that's really good, I probably could have done a whole presentation on this alone, but I'm not. That one of the things that it works like for people who are developers, obviously, okay? But you don't have to be a developer. You can just be a serious WordPress user with a serious website. okay, a site that you want to grow and develop, this is your place. Okay, you don't have to be a developer to use something like this, but it's great if you are. All right, so this is sort of a dummy account that I have with them, sort of like just for demo purposes. These aren't really real sites, but what happens is I have one site in 3 different environments, and so I have a production environment, and here I have a development environment, and here I have a staging environment, and it's right now it's just a simple, your standard WordPress website when you install it, and I will just look at. So this is what you see when you log in. Not, nothing real, just they get right to the point. On the left-hand side, I'm not going to dig into all this. This is really your, I would call this your WPEngine management tools, okay? So I'm not going to dig into that. I really just want to get into like the WordPress management tools. And so for that, I'm just going to click on, or really more WordPress directed. So this is more account directed. And over here, let's see what happens. Okay, so it tells you right. Oh, I love this because it doesn't give you all those stupid little things. It's just really clear what's going on. So right over here, it tells you this is your production environment. And then over here, these are all the different options of things of managing that production environment. If we take, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but if we take, for example, backups, okay? And why can't I get rid of this? Okay, we take a backups, you'll see, and like I said, I just started this today. A couple backups have been made. It's really simple. If I want to create a backup, let's say I'm about to do something on my live site, I want to back, I always hear people say, make sure you do a backup. Well, it can't be any easier than this. Even a guy who can't see very well can figure that out, okay? And then if I want to restore it, it's just one click and it's, you just walk through a couple little things and that's it. Or if I wanted to download the whole thing, just all the files and the database as well. Let's say I wanted to create a local development environment on my own computer, I would do something like this, okay? There might even be a faster way, but, I could do it this way. And then right over here, wherever you are, you can always access PHPMyAdmin. So if you want to see the database and maybe operate on it, only do this if you know what you're doing. And then the site itself. So I can log right into my admin. So just by clicking onto this, I just show you right over here. I thought I would. It's a good, I don't know. There we go. And I'm already logged in. So what's really nice too is that when you install WordPress on WPEngine, it's just plain vanilla. Okay, they don't give you like all this marketing junk that you get from all these other companies that you have to uninstall these plugins that you don't want or need. They just give you the latest version of everything, latest theme. In this case, I don't think there are any plugins. Plugins over here. Ta-da! This is just what I want to see. I don't want to see anything. I just want to start fresh, and they let you do that. They sort of like treat people like people instead of like just trying to sell you everything on Earth. They don't do it that way. All right, and so that's sort of like the backup area. What other things can I show? Sort of, this is kind of nice too. If you get into problems, let's say you have an unauthorized, let's say that you suspect something suspicious going on with your site. Maybe, who knows, something's like, you think that somebody's logging into your site. You can access the access logs. Now, if you don't understand all this, it's okay. You could just call up WPEngine and go, hey, I'm looking at it. I don't understand it. One of the nice things about their tech support is they're always there to help educate you, and you can learn anything. You learn as much or as little as you want. And then you can see all these. Oh, let me just do so SSL. One that's kind of nice is the utilities. And I'll scroll. So there's about caching. Password protection I mentioned a little bit earlier. So this is so nice. It's just if I want to enable it, I can enable it real simple. Okay, so I just enabled, and then right over here it tells you the username and password to log in to your site now. But of course, this is like a live site, production site, so I probably wouldn't want to have password protection, so I just take it off. But you can see there's just a lot of really easy, smart ways of dealing things, and you don't have to be. I just love it because they really treat people like intelligent human beings. So yeah, what else kind of things? And as I mentioned, well, this one CDN. Well, this isn't going to be configured for CDN. I don't even think my account lets me do CDN, so I'm not going to. One other thing I suppose I could show is, one that's kind of interesting. I don't use this, but it's a good one, and I think I might start using this. I don't. So you might have redirects, okay, on your site. There's a plugin, the redirection plugin. And instead of using that plugin, you can set up your redirects just right from here, which is nice. If you can do anything to eliminate plugins, might be a good idea. So rather than use that redirection plugin, you can consider. And most web hosts, I've never seen where you can set up redirects directly from your own account, which is really nice. Okay, so that's really, I said it wasn't going to be very long. Maybe there'll be some questions, but I'm not quite done. Let me just flip back to my screen, my PowerPoint. And I deliberately, wanted to be short because I felt like a lot of people probably know this, but we can open it up and ask questions. But before we do, let me go back to here, and that's not what I wanted to do. Just give me 1 second. And what did I get to show you this? That's what I want. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Steve, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we see the PowerPoint.
Okay, so let's finish up with the PowerPoint, and then I can answer some questions. Let's go over here. All right. So as Steve mentioned, I do have, now I can't find I do have actually 2 free courses on my site. One's called the WP A to Z series. This is really good if you're starting to build a site from scratch and really don't know anything about WordPress. It's a little dated. It's really hard to keep up to date now with all the things that are changing in WordPress, but it's still valuable because I know because somebody told me recently that it still was. Okay, and there we go. So it's divided into 6 different sections. Here's the other one that I have called How to WordPress. I do have videos on using Gutenberg and just a whole other section called WP Potpourri. And I try to keep the using Gutenberg ones up to date, but that's hard too. So, but like I said, somebody said it recently the other day, hey, this was really helpful. Okay, and you can get this from joywp.com/listings, but Steve will show you this or give this to you. The last thing I want to say is I'm on Twitter, and I circled the number of followers I have because I have a call to action for you all. If you use Twitter, please follow me because I don't want to be the least popular person on Twitter anymore. I'm just tired of nobody following me. So, and if you follow me, I will promise to follow you. Okay, that's a promise. And with that, I'm done. And I don't understand why my screen is jittery. It's like moving all around, but that's it. And it's a good thing because this thing is really driving me nuts. Okay, so yeah,
it looks fine. It looks fine for us, so that's
all right.
Good.
Well, it's not fine for me.
I got some questions. I got some comments. I got some applause. Just sort of joking about the applause.
Did you get any booze by any chance? I hope not.
No booze.
And by the way,
better each presentation.
Okay, and before we go any further, Steve, I have a question for you. When do you think we're going to be able to do this live?
It's not up to me, bud. It's up to the mayor of New York City, I'm guessing, or the governor of New York State.
People are starting to go back into the city and offices and stuff like that.
And maybe Microsoft. I can find out from Microsoft.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's up to them too, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, Jack.
Okay. Question.
So Jack Kleinfeld is asking that if you had a client that's being offered two types of hosting, a managed WordPress without cPanel, which was like, it says sorry, without cPanel or FTP, or a cPanel with FTP, which would you recommend?
Say that again. I don't think I heard the whole question.
Jack, I think this one's a little tough because the FTP thing is interesting.
Right.
I don't know why someone would offer a site without FTP, but he's saying he wants to know if he has a managed WordPress host that is not offering cPanel similar to WPEngine, but also is not offering FTP. I'm guessing they're offering Git or something, or a standard host that has cPanel with FTP. So do you feel the managed WordPress portion is more important than the FTP?
I haven't seen any hosting of any kind that does not offer some kind of FTP. So I don't know if that question, I can answer that question like an either or, okay? Now, another kind of question really is, well, should I use shared hosting versus managed WordPress hosting, okay? And that gets a little tricky because how do you define managed WP? And, you know, it's easy to say, well, that's all they do is manage WordPress hosting. Well, that's not, you know, a lot of companies that are out there that say we just do managed WordPress hosting. No, they do lots of other things besides managed WordPress hosting. Take WPEngine that does, you know, offer managed WordPress hosting, but it's still on a shared hosting environment. That is, this particular account is. The difference, though, is, of course, that's all they do. And I think one of the things that differentiates managed WordPress hosting, I think, and again, I think, you know, this is very, there isn't any like dictionary definition of managed WordPress hosting. I've asked a million people. I've looked at this over and over again. To me, it's more of a marketing term than anything else. But a thing that sort of characterizes it is performance and security, as compared to just like shared hosting, which is usually a more economical plan. It's sort of more of a bare bones plan. It's, you know, I like to say that when it comes to hosting, you get what you pay for. There aren't any bargains. Something like WPEngine is a little pricier, but what you save in time and aggravation and pulling out your hair will be 10 times more than you will save financially. Okay, it's amazing. I mean, it's not even close. I personally think that they undercharge some of these plans. So anyway, I know that's a long-winded answer, but and not really the perfect answer, because, like I said, it's not a matter of, when it comes to FTP, it's not a matter of do they offer or don't they offer. I haven't seen anybody not offer FTP. To me, it's, well, how easy is it? How easy or difficult will it be to set up FTP accounts? Because no doubt you'll want to use your own FTP client rather than the FTP, you know, web-based FTP that almost all these hosts offer. Although WPEngine doesn't offer an FTP app. Anyway, but they do offer, obviously, they offer SFTP. That's a long.
I'm going to offer just a small answer. I'm just going to offer one more comment.
Sure.
It's just that, you know, if you want to be a full stack developer, if you want to learn how to manage a server and a database, and you know, then you don't need managed hosting, because that's not going to do that for you. That's going to do that for you. But if you just want to concentrate on your WordPress site, you want to build it, you want to manage, the managed hosting just makes it much easier for you. You can sleep at night, and they'll take care of it for you. So that's to me, that's the difference.
Okay.
Rick Fresco was asking you, Bud, have you done any cost comparisons between hosts?
Yes, not recently, because but you know, they don't change all that much. I actually, if you want, Rick, send me an email. And I did this for a client. It was somewhere last year. I haven't done it this year, where I did a whole analysis of about 4 different companies. I think it was SiteGround, WPEngine, Bluehost, even WordPress.com, I think, got in there. And I'll be happy to send you that information if you want. So, but I you know, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that something like a WPEngine is going to, or a SiteGround actually, is going to cost more than like the bare bones econo plan that, let's say, Bluehost offers. But boy, what a difference in what you get. So, and that's the way. That goes back to what I said. There aren't any bargains here. You get what you pay for.
Right. So you don't know how good your host is until you need them. Right.
That's
Those
right.
emergency.
That's right.
Stephen Christo was asking about Flywheel. He says they're awesome, and they've also bought by WPEngine. Just wondering if you had any comments or experience with Flywheel.
No, I don't. I remember Flywheel before they were bought by WPEngine. I had some exposure with them, and I liked what I saw. It seemed like they were marketing towards agencies, if I'm not mistaken, or design shops. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've sort of lost track because they were bought by WPEngine, and I'm assuming they're still running as a separate brand or a separate, all that stuff. I mean, so.
All right. Hold on here. Let me get this over. So let's see now. Michael Passo just mentioned Git, and I was just wondering if you have any experience with Git integration, and you probably want to add it to your list. I think Git is pretty important for anyone.
Yeah, well, if you're a developer, you will see that there is right over here. I'm going to just click. So it's pretty easy if you have a Git repository, you could just push your development right over here, your WordPress, right to your, right to GitHub.
We still see the PowerPoint. Sorry.
Oh, you still see the PowerPoint? Oh, okay. Well, trust me on it. I just clicked. I'll just tell you what I did. In every WPEngine account, there's a Git push function, and that you can pretty easily, after you've created your WordPress site, you can just push that to your repository on GitHub. So it's pretty. I've never, maybe Kinsta does this. I think Kinsta does it. I'm not sure. A couple of others probably do this, but it's pretty easy to do it from WPEngine.
I can attest to that. Yeah, I use WPEngine's Git all the time, and it's built in. It's easy. It works. You get a Git repo for production. You get a Git repo for staging and development. It's pretty good.
One other thing I might add about WPEngine, and I'm not going to say this isn't true with. Well, I am going to. As far everything I've ever done with them works. It just works. It is. You click on something and it works. A lot of these other hosts, that is not. I cannot make that claim. That's obvious. All right.
Nina Phillips, 3 back-to-back questions. Number 1.
Oh my
how
God.
easy?
Wait a minute. One per customer. No, I'm just kidding.
No, these are 3 good questions, and I'm gonna go with them. How easy is it to save a site locally from these hosts?
I don't know. Because I've never, if I did it, I would just download it as a zip file and just install it using local. Okay, so it's easy. I mean, from WPEngine, it's as easy as it gets. As long as you can, if you're using local, okay, I'm not going to talk about desktop. Same thing with desktop server. I'm going to just address myself to those two. You can just, as long as you can download all your files and your database, you could export your database and then import it to your local environment. It's not that difficult. But you don't even have to do all that stuff, really. All you have to do is have your database and your files all together in a zip, and then install it that way. Through use that as your installation for either local or desktop server. So easy. I've probably done it lately. So
I was gonna say, for Flywheel has this product called Local WP, which I put a URL in. It makes it super simple to create a site, pull down a site, and push it up, both files and database. Since WPEngine purchased them,
right,
it makes it doubly easy now to pull down a WordPress site. So to answer your question, Nina, I suggest you get Local WP. It's free, and it works great.
Yeah, but and you can also, by the way, you can also use local to pull a site from just anywhere, from any host. It doesn't have to be from WPEngine or Flywheel. It can be any host. But good luck with some of the hosts. Yeah.
To pull it or to save it, to set it up? Is it different?
Well, to set it up.
I think, right, yeah, local offers like one-click access to Flywheel and WP. That's just pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Have you ever migrated a site to WPEngine? Do you know if they charge to migrate sites to their servers?
I have never seen them charge. Okay, so they won't, if you are migrating to them, they'll either help you do it for no additional charge. So, no.
Okay. I am also, I believe, I'm looking it up right now, they have a plugin. I'm going to post it in the chat.
Yeah.
I've used it. It works great. So you install this plugin on your client site. They're on another host. You fill in some details. You
Right.
press.
Yeah.
Great.
In fact, that is right. That is the only way you could migrate.
Yeah. Site going, right?
That's right. And it's a little, you know, when I first started using them, I said, what do you mean I have to use a plugin? I can do it manually. No. Because they're so security conscious, they set up everything. No. And that plugin works. It's good. Yeah.
It works great. And I don't know, she asked, the last question she asked was about.
Wait a minute. That's 2 questions. That's enough already.
Well, she wants to know if there's any promo from them. She's looking
Go
for
ahead.
from Bluehost. If there's any promos, I would search for promotions. I think WPEngine offers them every now and then.
Right.
But I also know if you buy the annual plan, like most of these places, you'll get a bonus. So.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you have access to a promotion I don't know about, Bud. Do you have something?
No, I'm an affiliate. Not right now.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions for Bud?
Well, you can, you know where to reach me, and like I said, if there's somebody there that doesn't want to ask a question now, that's fine. Remember, like I say, my fundamental philosophy on this, from what I can see, and that you really do get what you pay for, and if you really want to sleep at night and not just go crazy with your web host with you'll want to consider something like a WPEngine, but not just WPEngine. Let's face it, there's Kinsta, there's a whole bunch of others that are just in that top tier of web hosts. So keep that in mind.
Great. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Bud. That was
Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you one of these days.